Hello, everyone. The incident took place in Tennessee, USA, specifically in Henderson County in the western part of the state, near Interstate 40. The area is rich in forest and water resources. Years ago, a disappearance shattered the peace of this region. After 7 years of investigation and trial, the case became the most expensive probe in Tennessee history. It was the disappearance of Holly Bobo. The day of the incident, on April 13, 2011, a Wednesday. At 7:50 a.m., Clint was fast asleep. He was woken up by the sound of a dog barking. At that time, his parents had already left for work, leaving just him and his sister Holly at home. Clint fought off his drowsiness, got up, and went to the kitchen to check. Through the window, he saw his sister Holly in the garage with a man dressed in camouflage. The man was talking nonstop, while Holly was sitting on the ground. Because of the distance, he couldn't make out their conversation clearly. He only vaguely heard his sister say, "Not because of that," in an emotional tone. He assumed his sister was arguing with her boyfriend Drew about breaking up, so he decided not to interfere. Holly was 20 that year, studying nursing at the University of Tennessee at Martin. She had a cheerful personality and diverse hobbies, including fishing, hiking, swimming, and hunting. She met Drew in high school, and they became a couple due to shared interests. Clint remembered that the night before, Drew had called saying he'd go turkey hunting in the woods that morning, so showing up in camo to see his sister wasn't unusual. However, Clint knew Holly had an important exam at 8 a.m. that day, yet she hadn't left yet. While he was puzzled, his mom called, urging Clint to check on his sister's safety right away because a neighbor had heard screams from their house. Clint reassured his mom not to worry, as his sister had just stood up and was walking with her boyfriend, seemingly heading toward the woods. Immediately, his mom's voice grew urgent. "Clint, that's not Drew." Clint felt confused, as he thought the man was Drew. His mom didn't explain further, hung up, and immediately called 911. The emergency call. 911, what's your emergency? Somebody has my daughter. They kidnapped her. A man in full camouflage grabbed Holly and dragged her into the woods. Please, send everybody out there. Ma'am, what's the address? 681 Swan Johnson Road. Okay, they're on the way, sweetie. Help is coming right now. Since Holly's mom worked far from home, she could only call 911 to get police to the house quickly, but the call was routed to a dispatcher in neighboring Decatur County, delaying the response time. Meanwhile, Holly and the man walked into the nearby woods. It was then that Clint realized the man looked taller and bulkier than Drew. He then called both Holly and Drew to confirm the man's identity, but neither picked up. Sensing something was wrong, Clint grabbed a weapon and chased into the woods. But as soon as he stepped out, he noticed suspicious traces scattered in the garage, so he immediately called the police. 10 minutes later, officers arrived at the house. Clint's parents soon rushed home too. According to the family's statements, at 5 a.m., when it was still dark, the dad woke up and saw his daughter Holly already up preparing for her exam. He fed the dog and left for work, noticing nothing unusual about Holly as he departed. Soon after, the mom got up, made breakfast for the family, and prepared to head out. She was a teacher at a local elementary school. Before leaving, the mom called Drew. He said he'd woken up early and was turkey hunting near his grandmother's house. That's why she was certain the man who took Holly wasn't Drew. Clint said he'd been sleeping the whole time, unaware of what happened, and hadn't heard any screams, only woken by the dog's bark. Neighbors reported seeing a white pickup truck speed past Holly's house early that morning. Around 7:50 a.m., screams came from Holly's house, so they immediately called her mom. Initial crime scene investigation. Police immediately sealed off Holly's house and a 50-meter radius around it for examination. No signs of forced entry into the house were found. The spots in the garage were dotted and belonged to Holly. An unidentified palm print was found on the car. Otherwise, no suspicious biological traces were collected. After leaving home, Holly stopped answering calls or replying to messages. Combined with the blood in the garage, police believed the priority was finding her to ensure her safety. They immediately pursued in the direction Holly had left. Local residents, upon learning of Holly's disappearance, voluntarily joined the search. On the day of the incident, over 400 people helped search. Unfortunately, by the next morning, they still hadn't found any trace of Holly. Police checked Holly's phone location records. They found that after leaving home, she moved northward. Around 8:15 a.m., the phone reached a wooded area near Interstate 40. It stayed there for 20 minutes before turning south. The phone powered off at 9:25 a.m. The last location was near U.S. Route 641. Police immediately searched around the final position. Along Route 641 southward, they successively found Holly's lunchbox, phone, and SIM card, but still no sign of Holly. From there, police launched a 7-year investigation. 5 different groups of suspects came into their sights, but to this day, debates about the true perpetrator continue. First suspect, Brother Clint. Clint was the last person to see Holly, so he became a suspect for the police. His statements changed over time. Initially, when reporting to police, he said he saw the man dragging Holly into the woods. Later, when questioned again, he changed it to the man accompanying Holly into the woods. Whether it was dragging or accompanying was key to determining if Holly was forced to leave, greatly affecting the investigation's direction. This minor adjustment by Clint seemed odd. During the woods search, police found no unusual traces, making it seem like Holly went willingly with the man. This suggested the man might be someone she knew or trusted. Additionally, neighbors clearly heard a woman scream, yet Clint, who was closer, said he didn't hear it. Police checked the clothes Clint wore that day, but found no traces from Holly. They also analyzed his phone call logs and location data, ultimately clearing him as a suspect. Holly's relationships and boyfriend Drew. Police investigated Holly's social connections and activities before her disappearance. She was friendly with a simple network. Her closest contacts were family and boyfriend Drew. On the morning of the incident, at 4:30 a.m., Holly got up early to study for her exam. At 7:30 a.m., she received a call from Drew, talking for 12 minutes. That was her last call. Drew was the last to actively contact her, making him a suspect. But Drew had a solid alibi. At the time, he was turkey hunting at his grandmother's house. When he called Holly, a relative saw him. His phone's movement path didn't overlap with Holly's. There was no evidence linking Drew, and he had no motive. Ultimately, he was cleared. Suspect description and initial suspect, Terry Britt. Brother Clint provided a key clue. Since he didn't see the man's face clearly that day, he mistook him for Drew. Later, he realized the man was about 180 centimeters tall, weighing 80 to 90 kilograms, in camo, wearing a baseball cap, with a low voice and long black hair. Holly's home was in a remote area. Her cousin Whitney Duncan said even after visiting many times, it was still hard to find. Plus, the town rarely locked doors at night, so the family suspected the man lived nearby and knew their home well. Police then screened local residents and those with criminal records. They targeted a suspect matching the description, Terry Britt, around 50 years old. His build matched Clint's description, and he had a prior record of assaulting women. He was a newspaper delivery man, out early delivering papers, very familiar with local terrain and roads. His delivery route included where Holly's lunchbox was found, giving him opportunity. Clint also felt Britt's voice resembled the man's. When investigated, Britt claimed an alibi. He was shopping for a bathtub with his wife that day. Police checked the store, but no staff remembered Britt and there were no bathtub sales records that week. Most suspiciously, after Holly's disappearance, Britt cut his hair short, changing his appearance, as if deliberately showing he differed from the man who took Holly. Police searched Britt's home and vehicle, monitored his phone. They found a handwritten bathtub receipt and an electric saw at home. Call records showed he called his wife that morning. If they were together shopping, why call? Facing repeated police questioning, Britt always denied involvement. He even analyzed the perpetrator's psychology in front of police, seeming provocative. Police once believed he was the culprit and focused on breakthroughs, but couldn't find evidence. 8 months after the incident, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation paused the probe. Community attention and resumed investigation. After the incident, the peaceful town grew anxious. Media coverage gradually drew wider attention. Soon, a special prosecutor was appointed to investigate. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation resumed work. They re-screened local residents and made new discoveries. 4 local men caught police attention. All had criminal records involving drug use and sales. Since their last names started with A, they were dubbed the A-Train Group of 4. Zachary Rye Adams, Zach, Dylan Adams, Zach's brother, Jason Wayne Autry, Jason, and Shane Kyle Austin, Shane. The A-Train Suspect Group. The initial screening found that Shane Kyle Austin, considered part of the A-Train group, had been questioned separately. A female friend of Holly told police, 4 days before the incident, she and Holly went to an amusement park in nearby Decatur County. During that, the friend noticed a man in camo, stocky, wearing glasses, pretending to talk on his phone, but actually staring at them. She felt uncomfortable. Based on the description, police sketched the park man, later identifying him as Shane, who lived not far from Holly's home. But the friend's info only proved Shane knew Holly. No evidence of his involvement was found. In the new round of screening, locals told police, around Holly's disappearance, they heard Zachary, Rye Adams, from the A-Train, threaten someone. "You'll end up like Holly, buried in a pit." Zach was 28 that year, jobless, hot-tempered, often in conflicts. Among the 4, he had the most priors, including weapons assault on his mom a decade earlier. His parents got a protection order as he's dangerous to us and the community. Dylan Adams was Zach's younger brother, 24, a casual construction worker with theft records. The brothers were close. Jason Wayne Autry was Jane's cousin, 39 that year, living 2 kilometers from Holly's home. He'd served in the military, then drove trucks with multiple theft priors. The A-Train 4 were tightly connected and had tangled links to Holly. Police suspected their involvement and investigated. The prosecutors struck a deal with Shane, truthful confession for reduced or dropped charges. Shane told investigators he'd heard Zach say, "I'll do to you what I did to Holly," but he thought it was just talk, not knowing what Zach did or where Holly was. Investigation showed Shane called Zach multiple times that day. Police believe Shane helped Zach victimize Holly, but Shane denied it and wouldn't help find her. Later, the prosecutor revoked his immunity deal. Based on Shane and local statements, Zach was linked to Holly's disappearance. In March 2014, Zach was arrested, charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping. The next month, Jason from the aid train was charged similarly. While investigating another aid train member, Dylan, police found in September 2013 he'd been charged with illegal gun possession and sales, sentenced to 8 months. During Dylan's incarceration, investigators visited 6 times for Holly case clues. Dylan hinted multiple times that Zach was involved. After release, Dylan was a key witness. Investigators provided him a safe house. All 4 A-Train members entered police investigation lists. In July 2014, another brother pair, Jeff and Mark, were listed as suspects. Jeff's roommate, after seeing Holly disappearance reports, contacted police. 2 months earlier, Jeff showed her a video of a woman named Holly being assaulted, crying on the floor. Jeff said his brother, Mark, filmed it. Mark had priors too. Confronted by police, the brothers denied having such a video, didn't know Holly Bobo. Jeff's ex-wife just happened to be named Holly. Police analyzed over 20 phones but found no video the roommate described, nor evidence linking the two. Ongoing search and body discovery. By then, 3.5 years had passed, and police still didn't know Holly's whereabouts. But they didn't give up, using canines and helicopters to search nearby mountains, rivers, and buildings. In Henderson and nearby Decatur County woods alone, over 10,000 search efforts occurred. Community donations exceeded $450,000, but no clues emerged. The case became the costliest in Tennessee Bureau of Investigation history. In September 2014, in nearby Decatur County, 2 residents hunting ginseng in local woods. They stumbled upon a large plastic bucket flipped upside down on a hillside. Curious, they turned it over, finding partial remains inside. Police arrived promptly. The site was 30 kilometers from Holly's home. Based on bone decomposition, death was estimated in 2011. Forensic exam confirmed the remains were Holly's, missing for 3 years. Cause of death estimated as gunshot wound. Police then searched the area extensively, finding more remains in Holly's items, including a wallet with her driver's license and car keys. With Holly found, the case upgraded to homicide. Dylan's confession and further arrests. 10 days after finding Holly, A-Train's Dylan admitted he and the other 3 were involved. Police immediately re-interviewed Dylan. Dylan said on the disappearance day, he went to Brother Zach's for a car borrow. Arriving, he found Holly alive, in a pink t-shirt, sitting in the living room chair. Zach stood nearby, in camo shorts, black sleeveless tee, and brown alligator shoes. Then, the brothers and Jason assaulted Holly. Zach even recorded it himself. Based on Dylan's confession, police got a search warrant for Zach's home, but found no tape Dylan mentioned, nor physical or DNA evidence. The next month, Dylan was charged by the prosecutor. 3 A-Train members were now arrested. As the case clarified, A-Train Shane was found to have committed suicide. Learning the A-Train were the perpetrators, Holly's mom was furious and shocked, as she'd taught Zach and Jason, never imagining they'd grow up to kill her daughter. Judicial process. Then began a lengthy legal process. Over 600 witnesses testified, 150,000 evidence documents transferred. 6 years post-incident, Holly's case went to trial in Hardin County Circuit Court. Due to its duration and impact, for fairness, the venue shifted to nearby Hardin County. Lacking fingerprints, DNA, or direct evidence proving Zach's guilt, evidence integrity was crucial. A-Train's Jason cut a deal with prosecutors. Testify against Zach for major sentence reduction. In court, he detailed the crime. Jason knew the Zach brothers for 15 years. A-Train relations were tight. In 2011, Jason worked at a cattle farm, addicted to drugs then. Incident morning, 6:30 a.m., Jason woke, drank coffee, drove to watch wildlife to pass time. But he had a craving hit. At 8:40 a.m., he called Zach for help, but Zach said he was busy. Soon, Zach called back, saying he was at Shane's needing aid. Jason thought it was moving goods. Half an hour later, Jason drove to Shane's. He saw a big barrel in the yard, fire burning inside. Shane kept tossing stuff in to burn. Dylan stood shirtless at the door. Zach paced with a weapon, looking anxious. Jason got out. Zach rushed over, bluntly asking help dispose of a body. Jason thought it was a guy Zach had clashed with before, but Zach said, "No, that's Holly Bobo." To get what he needed, Jason agreed. They loaded blanket-wrapped Holly into the pickup, then drove to find a disposal spot. En route, Jason asked Kozak how without tools like a gun. Zach stayed silent. Jason recalled seeing a man's body floating under Interstate 40 along the Tennessee River the year before. So they headed there. Arriving, they carried Holly down. Jason noticed she seemed to have signs of life. Seeing that, Zach delivered the fatal blow. Holly died then. Nearby boat sounds made them fear discovery, so they loaded Holly back up. After that scene, Jason thought Zach was crazy, so he got out first, leaving Zach to find another spot alone. 2 days later, Jason heard Zach dumped Holly at Kelly Ridge. After Zach disposed of her, brother Dylan seemed traumatized, avoiding the topic. Zach worried it'll leak eventually, so he suggested to Jason solve Dylan and share Grandpa's inheritance. But Jason found no chance, finally telling Zach, "If I'll do that, you're next." On why Zach kidnapped Holly, per Shane's confession, that morning, Zach, Dylan, and Shane drove to Holly's to find Clint for illegal drug-making lessons. But arriving, Clint wasn't up. They saw Holly, got bad ideas, and took her to Shane's grandfather's house. But Clint denied any ties to the three in court. Zach's ex-girlfriend testified, "Incident morning, Zach rose early, said he was moving drugs. That evening, she came home to cook. TV reported Holly missing. Zach blurted, 'They'll never find her.' A month later, arguing, Zach threatened to tie her up like Holly. For physical evidence, prosecutors submitted a revolver found in a well. Investigation showed it belonged to a nearby resident who sold it to Shane and Jason, but no fingerprints or DNA were extracted, nor proof it was the murder weapon. Defense vehemently denied charges, arguing too much time passed, plus drugs could impair Jason and Zach's ex's memories, making testimony unreliable. Defense claimed initial suspect Terry Britt was the real killer. First, that morning, Zach's phone was only in the same area as Holly's. Paths didn't match. None of the A-Train matched the victim's brother's description. Zach, Dylan, and Jason's builds didn't fit. Shane's was close, but he had short, red hair, not long black. Second, the palm print on Holly's car didn't match the four. Finally, call logs showed at 9:42 a.m. that day, Jason called his mom. Per his confession, he was with Zach seeking a disposal spot then, unlikely to take a call. Zach and Dylan's mom, Cindy Adams, said her sons had learning disabilities, low IQs, and attended special schools. She thought they were bullied into lying about undone things. She knew they had bad habits but wouldn't kill. Both sides debated fiercely in court. In September 2017, after 11 days, the jury reached consensus. The court found Zach guilty of first-degree murder and 8 other counts, sentencing him life without parole plus 50 years. The next January, Dylan reached an Alford plea with prosecutors, allows no guilt admission, but accepts evidence suffices for conviction to avoid harsher sentence. Hardin County Court ultimately ruled Dylan Adams guilty of first-degree murder and others 35 years without parole. Post-verdict and new developments. In 2019, Decatur County renamed a section of Route 641 the Holly Bobo Memorial Highway, honoring the girl Forever 20. In 2020, to prevent similar cases, Tennessee passed the Holly Bobo Act, expanding emergency missing person alerts to age 21. This built on Amber Alert for under 17 minors. That September, Hardin County Court found Jason Autry guilty of facilitating aggravated kidnapping and soliciting first-degree murder. Per his plea deal, 8 years, but crediting prior time served, he'd soon release. After release, Jason recanted all testimony against Zach, saying arrest pressure led him to fabricate to avoid life sentence. He just retold his own Bat-Day itinerary inserting Holly. Thus, phone tracks matched his made-up story. 3 months later, Jason was rearrested for federal weapons violation, sentenced to 19 years. Since Holly Bobo trial lacked direct evidence proving Zach guilty, Jason was the sole witness claiming to see Zach commit it. His testimony was vital. Even the presiding judge said, "Jason's testimony was the most credible and persuasive I've heard in court." Jason's recantation could impact conviction and sentencing. Plus, first confessor Dylan said his statements were coerced. The police safe house was actually a retired cop's home. He said after finding Holly, police forced admissions. If unsatisfactory, no sleep. Learning the two's testimonies were problematic, incarcerated Zach requested appeal. In January 2024, his lawyer found new evidence, video showing incident morning during Holly's abduction window. Zach, Dylan, and another were at an ATM withdrawing money, no crime time. The lawyer sought to overturn prior conviction based on this. In the A train, Shane's confession differed from Jason's. Jason's disposal site also differed from Holly's actual find spot. Various doubts remain unresolved, so debates on the Holly Bobo case persist today. As of October 14, 2025, Zachary Adams' post-conviction relief hearing is ongoing, with the next session scheduled for November 2025. A judge denied his new trial request in May 2025, but testimony from a witness admitting to lying was heard in August 2025. Jason Autry's 19-year sentence was upheld on appeal in August 2025. The case continues to spark controversy over the true perpetrators.